Hi, everybody. I've been sharing this information with whoever shows up to the office hours, so I just thought I would share it with everybody else in a quick video. Thesis Writing 101. Um, Thesis writing is the blueprint for a good essay. It is a way of articulating and organizing your thoughts. The thesis is the answer to your question. But when you're writing a thesis, one of the most important starting points is the question itself. You are given three specific questions to choose from for this assignment, and you need to keep that in mind. Some things to keep in mind in general. When you're writing an introduction, you need to assume that the the reader, in this case, your teacher, has read the book, in fact, knows a lot about the book. Therefore, including summaries, uh, character descriptions, and other such information is not helpful. So, what is the purpose of an introduction then? It is to take the question that was given to you and contextualize it. So, you're introducing your question, not the book. That's your starting point. And then once you know your question really well, you've read it very carefully, you need to create a thesis based on it. And in order to do that, I say here, you need to analyze the key terms in order to know what you are answering. So if your question is about cruelty and you write a thesis that has not in some way defined what cruelty means to you, and it doesn't address that at all, you know you're not on the right page. If you chose a question about deception and uh, values, that those are two key words. I think I'm mixing up examples, but let's say those are two key words in your question, and you haven't addressed those in your question, in your thesis, you're probably not doing it right. Okay. The question is great because when you look at it, it gives you the parameters of your argument, meaning it tells you what you should address and what you shouldn't, what you don't need to worry about. It's doing you a huge favor. If it says choose one character, don't choose three characters. There's no point. You're making life harder on yourself, and you're just writing for no reason and with no purpose. Okay? So once you have your key terms, you can use the language of the question to create a detailed argument. Okay? So here's some of the examples. Uh, let's look at the first one. It's often been said that what we value can be determined only by what we sacrifice. Consider how the statement applies to a character from the text you're reading. Select a character that is deliberately sacrificed, surrendered, or forfeited something in a way that highlights that character's values. Then write a well-organized essay, here's the real question, in which you analyze how one particular sacrifice illuminates A, the character's values. So you're making a connection between what the sacrifice is and what it tells us about what the character values, both terms you need to define, and also provides a deeper understanding of the meaning of the work as a whole, which I would interpret as meaning this is a theme throughout, or the author is in some way making a commentary about this theme, right? So you're kind of connecting it to a greater, uh, a less particular moment than this one character, and highlighting what if there's some sort of statement about that. So that's a harder part of the question, but they both need to be addressed because they're both in the question. Okay. What makes a good thesis? A, don't waste your words. Write your thesis succinctly. 2, the thesis should answer the question you've introduced using the language of the question. We just went over that. And 3, your thesis should explicitly or implicitly inform your reader how your paragraph/argument will be structured. Okay, so it should be very detailed. It should be complex. It should not be too general. It should be very specific. When I'm looking at it, I should almost see your topic sentences in it, right? I've got 30 seconds. What's the purpose of topic sentences? They point backwards to your thesis, remind the reader of where you're coming from. They transition to your next point. They work as transitionary sentences. And they focus the new paragraph, much like a thesis, telling the reader, this is what we are now focusing on. 2 things to avoid. Don't retell the story like I've never heard it before. Don't use the terms similarities and differences. They're meaningless. Bye, everybody.